And welcome to our webinar today, Uncover, Transform, Improve, Succeed. My name is Yun Han. I'm the UK account manager for IGraphics. I'm really happy today I'm joined by my colleague Mark Fodor. He's the professional service consultant. He has really solid experience in advising client and project implementation in BPM domain. So today's webinar will be recorded, so in case you miss out any part of it, we'll be following up with the video link. If you have questions throughout the session, please feel free to enter the question in the GoToMeeting question box, and we'll try to answer as many of them at the end of the session. So to give you a quick overview of iGraphics, we are an American company with our headquarters based in Oregon. For the European headquarters, it's based in Munich. That's where me and Mark are based in. And we have more than 20 years of experience in empowering organizations and supporting our clients in process improvement. As we always strive to improve ourselves, we recently released the latest iGraphics Origins version. It's a fully web-based BPM platform and allows really easy interchange with the desktop clients such as iGraphics Process, Flowcharter, Process for Six Sigma. If you are currently using the older one and want to upgrade to the latest version, you can contact me afterwards. So today is all about uncover your weaknesses and transform your business and continuously improve. So how do you do it? And I want to use this chart to show you why it is so crucial to understand the challenges and to have a clear overview of your process. So in your organization, you have strategies, and you also have targets that set up and linked to your processes. Then you have diagrams and documents that are also linked to your process. And you have your organization, jobs, employees, where their roles and responsibilities are defined and also linked to the processes. Then you have the performance indicator with a chart that shows if you're achieving your targets and how your team is performing. Then you have the risk that you want to define, and you want to always be sure that you are measuring it correctly and you are meeting the requirement and hence the compliance topic to manage. And don't forget you also have application, server, database, and all the infrastructure that you have also linked to the processes. Then you have external agents and work resources that are also linked. And you can notice that it's actually not that simple. There are more than one processes. There are actually a lot of processes, a lot of applications, a lot of requirements that you have in your organization. And you can notice that everything's interlinked and they're actually all tangled together. So how can you have a clear overview of the relationship? And how can you get a great control, an easy control from this complexity? So hence we have this question. If you want to capture and forecast and monitor the output, if you want to stay ahead of the competition and react to the market changes, you need to keep improving and to unite the entire organization around it so you can deliver the business map value. So this is where Mark will come in and introduce you to cycle of improvement with iGraphics. So it's a 4-steps approach, and I'm gonna now switch the screen to Mark so he can use a real process example to lead you through it. Okay, so Mark, can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, now you should be able to see my screen with the same cycle that was seen before. And mainly what we talk about at iGraphics is this holistic approach that we have that we want to give you a quick glimpse of in the following minutes. So we call it the cycle of improvement, which mainly consists of 4 phases, where we actually go in, we model a process, then we use our automation workflow engine to actually execute that process to bring it to life. Afterwards, all the data that we gather in this actual execution step, we can visualize that and do simulations on them in order to be able to improve the process, to analyze weaknesses, and to actually create a better process as a result. And then we can do this again and again, so to have it like a cycle with multiple executions. This is the theory, right? So if we just jump into the process, we have set up a small example for you today, which is based on a credit approval process. And I'd just like to walk you through the process really briefly. This is the credit approval process of BankX, and it actually starts at the front office, so when we receive the application. So a team member of our front office team is receiving the credit application, and it's coming in, and they forward it to the back office. Now, back office is our second department that we have right here, and they evaluate it depending on the amount of credit that our customer or potential customer is actually requesting. It may require to go through a superior that actually has to approve credits above 100K. And if he doesn't approve, you can see that it automatically goes to the end, so where it says negative answer, where the system will actually automatically send out a negative answer to our customer. So after the superior clicked no, I don't approve this for whatever reason, it automatically goes to this state, negative answer, sends out the email, and case is closed, so the approval is declined. If the superior is actually approving it, we go into the actual decision. So a team member of the back office is actually checking the application, and they are deciding on if they want to approve it or if they don't want to approve it. And once again, we go into the same, if they don't approve, into the same negative answer. If they approve, they also have to create the actual offer. And after they create the offer, they put it in the system. The system automatically will send it to the user, to the customer. So this is just, as I said before, a simple process to give you an understanding of what we mean when we talk about cycle of improvement, and to give you an actual example for the holistic approach that we try to accomplish here. Now, this is just a regular simple process that we modeled in iGraphics, so this is nothing too complicated, and we used this and deployed it to our execution engine. In our execution engine, this is actually where the workflows live, and we also attached a form, a web form to this. And the web form may look like this. So this may be something on the intranet that is sitting in your website maybe, and the customer can just go into this form and actually fill it out in order to get the application going for a credit. So for example, if I just start here, and if we have, oh, this is the average Joe. So he wants a credit for 36 months. We can also provide a location in this case, so you're really open to customization in terms of look and feel, and also in terms of options, what you want to actually, what kind of information you need from your potential customers. In this case, I'm just choosing location London. So this may go out, because you chose London in here, this may go out to the team in London for the front office task maybe, or also for the back office task. It just depends. And then maybe for the credit sum, I actually want to have 123,000. So I just hit start process, and with this I send off the application. Now, if you remember, this is where the actual process starts. So this is where all the applications are coming in from our customers, and I should receive something in my inbox if I'm a front office employee. So let's just log in as a front office employee. So I am logging in as Joey, and Joey is working front office, and we can see the tasks that he currently has. So these are all the tasks that Joey has. In our small scenario, once again, we just have this credit approval process. In reality, Joey would have much more tasks from different types of processes, right? So this is all the first steps of the process: receive and forward application, and this is our average Joe application that we had right here. So I can click this, and we can look at the actual form that Joe filled out. So I can look at all the values, I can look at the location, etc. I could also adapt this if there would be any reason to change something in here. Otherwise, I think this is okay. We can also, what's important, not really that interesting in the first step, we can actually see where this instance, what it's called. So the average Joe instance, the average Joe credit application, is currently active, and it's running in the first step of the process. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark this task as finished. So let's just consider that I actually forwarded the application to back office, and I tick this one off, and now it's finished and it's gone from my lists from my list. So I, as Joey from front office, I don't have any more tasks to do right now for the average Joe application. There are also tasks of my group up here, so all the tasks don't have an actor assigned. Once again, small example in our case to give you a good understanding. Obviously, in reality, there wouldn't just be Joey in front office, there will be multiple people. And then they can actually grab tasks from the tasks of my group. So it's just a queue where you can grab the tasks that you want to actually perform and then perform them. If you grab them, they show up in your tasks list and are assigned to yourself. And you can just tick them off and finish them off. Okay, now let's move forward and go into the back office user. So this is where I'm actually logging in as Amy, and we can see that Amy only has one task, which is the application of average Joe. And if I look at the tasks of my group, there's nothing else. It's just the application of average Joe that is currently on the table, and this is what she's working in. So I can once again look at this. Maybe I can mess around with the sum. If I know that average Joe doesn't need more, I just can change this to 120, for example. I save the form, and then I can also leave a note for others what I did. Like this. This will live inside the instance of average Joe. So this will always be attached to the application of average Joe, and later on, when everything is finished, I can look at all the documents, all the information that was created. So I can look at the form that Joe filled out. I can look at all the information that was created during the process, and then I can also look at the end result. So if there is a acceptance letter or an offer sent out, etc., everything will be stored inside a central location where you can look at afterwards. So we've evaluated the application. Obviously, in the live process view, we're still at evaluate, and now you will see that since the credit sum is still above 100, it will probably have to go through the superior to get additional approval. So we'll just finish this task or mark this task as finished, and now no more tasks for Amy, since this is something that has to be done by a superior. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in as a process manager, because the process manager is actually the person that will be that will receive a nice overview of all the running applications. So this is my credit approval process. I'm currently logged in as Joe, the process manager, and I only have one process that I'm managing. There might be other processes in reality, but in this case, I just have this one credit approval process of BankX. And if I select it, I get a nice overview of all the actual running applications that we have inside our system. So we have one that's actually at approve, and we have multiple, at least for the receive and forward application. And I can see all the other ones that are actually in the system, already running or already finished. Now, if I go into the average Joe application, I can see that it's at approve. And usually this would have to be done by a superior. Since I'm a process manager in this case, I have all the roles, so I can actually perform tasks for superiors, for back office, and also for front office. So I'm using this. I can go into the approve, and I can just say mark task is finished. And that way I get a pop-up that actually asks me, do I want to approve this or not? We're going to approve this so that average Joe will actually receive his offer for the credit. And now you see this is going over to the back office, and back office will actually have to decide on the application. Once again, this is the same scenario that we had before. We can click this, going to activate it, and we're going to say finish mark task is finished. And we're also approving it. So in the last step, I'm just going to go back and be Amy from the other perspective where we're in back office, where we actually make the offer. So I log out, and then I log back in as Amy, and we will see the task that we have right here, make offer. And I can actually create the offer document somewhere else in another system. Then I can go into the Documents tab down here and say Upload Document. I can choose it, and then I'm going to use this Word file that I have on my computer. This is the offer, and I'm going to upload it. Now this is attached, and you can also see the small clip mark icon down here that is actually showing you that there's something attached, that we have a note, etc. So everything is quickly available from the first screen pretty much. I've attached this document. We still have these notes down here, and we could also, if we wanted to, register effort. So what kind of work did I perform in order to finish this specific task? We're not going to do that right now. So yeah, it's a little off, but it's still at make offer. So we still have to make this offer. The system will actually send this one out after we tell it, okay, I actually finished this task. So save form and finish task, yes. And this way we finish this entire process. So the system in the background goes out and takes a document that I just created, that I just uploaded into the system, and sends it out to our customer. And this is the quick overview of the actual process. So what you've seen now is already the first step, the model step, and also the execution step, right? So with the execution, you've seen the different roles that I took, where I've been logging in as Joe, the process manager, and Amy in back office, and Joey in front office. So now we want to look at the data that we just generated, and there are a couple of nice dashboards that we can create with this. Everything is still pretty much customizable, so it depends on the information that you want to show. What we did in here is actually to have a bar chart that gives us an overview on how long we think this individual step should actually take and how long it actually took. So the gray colors are the ones that we estimated for how long it should take, and then the colored ones are actually the ones that show us how long they took. And most striking is probably here, receive and forward application. We thought that this would just be something that would take 7 minutes or something. In reality, it took more than double that. Might be different reasons for this, but this is just to show us that we have an issue here. Either we're doing wrong estimations or people are doing something else. We don't really know right now at this point. We have different types of views, so pie charts, gauge views that show us the mean credit maybe if we're interested in that. We can look at the distribution, so which activity, when we look at the entire process of the credit application, which activity is singularly and specifically adding the most time to our entire time it takes to actually perform our processes. And we can see that this is by far the receive and forward application. We can get different statistics in here, and we can also look at historic data, how our average credit is actually performing per day. So we can have specific limits for this. In this case, we want to have credits above 200K to actually be in the green zone. And as I said before, everything in here is customizable, so you could just drag this around however you want to. You could also adapt this. So, for example, if we want to add some rich text in here, we could just say, okay, maybe let's just add a video, for example, if that might be helpful to our users, and then I have a YouTube video in here that can actually play inside this small frame. So these are all the possibilities and many more. As I said, this is just a simple example on how we can actually visualize the data inside or that's coming from our execution engine. And as we looked at the actual visualization, so how the process is currently performing and at historic performances, we wanted to look at simulation options. And when I talk about simulation options, this is where we want to go in and find out what actually happens if I take this process, I create a virtual model of it with all the data that I have, and I adapt some of the parameters. So there might be a marketing campaign or something where all of a sudden way more applications are coming in per day. What actually happens to my process? Does it just break because everything will take forever? Or do I need more employees? Where do I need more employees, etc.? All these questions can be actually answered when we look at the simulation model. So I'm going into the simulation component, and as you can see, we're looking at the same process. Just for your understanding, in this case, when we do a simulation, we need to set up a scenario. In this scenario, we have set up individual team members, where we have one front office team member, one back office, and one superior. So it's just 3 people working this process, and we're actually looking at the time that it takes to process 100 credit applications, right? These are our scenario parameters, and this is what we will simulate on. Now, I'm going to go into the trace mode, and the trace mode will give you a good overview how this actually works. You can start the simulation right here, and on the bottom right you can see it's starting on Monday. This is also how it's set up. So the simulation is actually using a regular calendar. We start on Monday at 8, and this is when the first applications are coming in our scenario. Keep in mind that we're doing online applications, so they can also come in at night when people are not actually working in our bank, but we still receive new applications. And also people have a break, as you will see, for lunch, where everything will be gray because no one's working at this time right now. And you can see each individual application going through the process depending on their probability to be actually approved or declined, etc. This might take a while. We're not going to look at this the entire time. What we will do is we'll pause this, and actually we can also get a report immediately. We don't really have to look at this. Now, I set up something before that we don't need. So let me just say create new report, and I'm going to explain why I did this just in a moment. So this is the report that we would actually receive from all the data that we put in the system. There's lots of data on time, cost, resource, etc., etc. What's important to us right now is we have a small custom report that gives us some of the values that we actually care about right now. And up here we can see that the process took, or not the process, it took us 44 days to process all the 100 applications. This also takes into consideration, obviously, how they come in. It's not like they all come in a queue one by one. After the first one is finished, the next one is coming in. They just come in randomly when people actually want to apply for a credit. And they do this online via our form that we've seen before. So this is 44 days. We don't really know if this is a good or a bad value in our scenario. We might have, in reality, we might have data from competitors, etc. In our scenario, we just have this value right now. What we know is also we had 100 applications, as I said before, and on average, it took almost 38 days for an application to go through the process. We don't care if it's positive or negative. Either way, it's 38 days, which sounds quite a long, like a long time. This is something that we think we can improve on, and this is what we're going to target afterwards. Meantime, per department, we can see where the actual backlog is happening, and it seems like the back office is actually adding most of the time to the 38 days. And we can also see costs. For this scenario, we only considered resource costs, so only the salary for our 3 employees in an actual scenario or simulation scenario. You could also consider costs that you use for licensing for different systems. You could also actually consider costs for printers when you have to print something. You can actually expand the model as far as you want to, and to be as detailed as you actually need to. So we see the total cost that it actually cost us in terms of labor costs to perform these 100 applications, to process them. And we see the resource utilization, the average resource utilization for all 3 people, which is 47, not that good. Once again, consider this is one process, so we don't have anything else. The people are working half the day or half the time they have been working. The other half they have just been waiting. They didn't do anything else. So not really the best scenario that we want to have. Now, as a first step, what we want to try to do is to go in and actually experiment. So we're actually hiring a second front office guy, right? And we don't have to change anything. We just tell the system, okay, please use another front office guy and give me the result of this. And in order to be able to compare it, I'm going to append the report. That's what I had before. That's why I changed it. And now we want to append it so we can do a comparison from the first to the second simulation. And we're going to look at the results immediately. And this is quite interesting, isn't it? It takes the same time to process them all. The average time per application went up. So people are actually waiting longer, even though I have more people on staff, which, if you just think about it, should actually reduce the time it takes for the applications to go through. But it might be also costs went up and people are just sitting around way more. Just 1/3 of the time that they are in, they should be working, they're just working 1/3 of the time. It's not really an ideal scenario. So we're going to go in and we're going to increase the number of people's of employees in back office. Once again, this is something that we can easily do, since this is a simulation and we can just turn each knob individually. Also keep in mind that we're just turning that one specific knob right now. We could turn all other different knobs, obviously, in order to change the model the way that we want to. So let's do another run. In this case, we have 2 front office team members and 2 back office team members. And let's do another simulation. And this actually produces way better results. The entire time it takes for them is actually halved. The average cycle time per application went down to a little over 18 days. This might be more acceptable to our customers. And what's even more interesting is we have 52% resource utilization, and it actually is cheaper for us. So if we break this down to individual application, credit application, it actually is cheaper for us with the 5 resources that we currently have on staff to perform all these individual runs through our process. Now, there is one last step that I want to try out, and let's just remove one of the front office employees. Maybe this will actually improve the process even further. And if we look at it, this is actually the case. So the application time is brought down even further to 17 days. And probably what's more important is people are not only sitting around like we had with the second simulation where we added 1 front office employee. They only work 1/3 of their time. Now they're working 2/3, which is a huge improvement, obviously. And the cost individually and total for all the applications also went down considerably, significantly pretty much. And these were some of the knobs that we can turn, how to figure out how to improve this process, right? So now we could also go in and look at the simulation scenario and say, well, maybe we actually have some promotion and we get in way more applications. Maybe we get in the applications not just randomly, but we have a specific scenario where we have a deadline where people can send in the applications, and there will be a huge chunk of applications coming in at a specific time. Maybe it makes sense to employ maybe half day or half-time front office employee, stuff like that. All these questions can be answered way easier based on this model that we have. And we know that this is a good model in our example because we actually got the data from our workflow component. So these are the tasks that our employees are actually performing, and all the data they get in here is fed into this simulation model. So this is why this approach is actually really interesting in terms of looking at improving your processes and in terms of a holistic approach to the cycle of improvement. Okay, so I think this is a good wrap up for the presentation. I'd actually like to open this up for questions right now.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, for the amazing presentation. I've got a few questions already. One question is from Helen. She would like to see a bit more detail from the dashboard. Is it possible that you drill down and see more detail from it?
Yes, let me go back to the dashboard and look at the values that we have in here. So as I said before, everything is pretty much customizable in here. So in terms of what data we show and in the way that we actually show the data. In this case, we haven't set up a drill down for this. What I could show you is a drill down for other performance indicators that we had done before, and it's a drill down in terms of different performance indicators that are actually used to measure goal achievable in here, and then goal achievable is actually contributing to my strategy. In this case, I have a global strategy where I have to meet certain performance indicators. And this would be a way to actually drill down on our data. So I could use my process that I have at a location at a specific bank, and then I can look at the individual activities down here, maybe how their times actually develop, if they take even longer, or if there might be a period, I don't know, maybe in winter it actually takes more time to perform the tasks than in summer, or vice versa, I don't know. But you can obviously drill down on your data with the different dashboards. Yes.
Perfect. I hope that answered your question, Helen. Then I'll come to the second question from Toka. Is it possible to integrate other systems such as SAP to get process data directly from them for the simulation part?
Yes. So the simulation model that we have in here, the data that we get is obviously coming, in this case, from the workflow execution engine from iGraphics. But we could also import, if a company already has another execution engine that provides all the data, generating all the data, we could import that data from that source and feed our model in here and then do the same simulation as we've seen before.
Perfect. I hope this answers your question, Toka. So we still have time for another one or two questions. So I got another question from David. Based on the simulation, can you produce a value stream map or process balance and load level against TAKT time? I'm not sure what TAKT time is. Will you be able to answer that, Mark? Mm-hmm.
So the question was if we can produce another type of chart based on this simulation and on the values, and we can do that. So we could actually show this as a value stream map and transform the data that we received. I'm not sure about the second part. Maybe we can do a follow-up on this question after.
Definitely, yeah. So David, if it's okay for you, we'll follow up with you about this question. So yeah, if you have no more questions, just let me see. Yeah, so there's another one. Okay. So if you already have a process from desktop client, how can you bring them into automation, into live?
That is a good question because I actually didn't show that, but I didn't show it because it's pretty boring. So after we actually model this process right here, there is the automation tab up here, and I just say deploy to automation, and then this process, this kind of static image of a process, is transferred to the workflow component where it can be automated and transformed into tasks and subtasks, etc. So everything is happening in the back end. The user doesn't have to do anything except some additional components in terms of the form that we've seen before. So the form that we've seen for Bank X before, that's actually something that has to be done, which is just plain HTML, so nothing proprietary that we use there. It's just a web form, and that web form is tying in into the process, into the specific gateways, etc. that we had. So as you've seen, in terms of what I choose in the form will actually determine the process flow of my instance when I run this, when I automate this process.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, we have 5 minutes left. I do have another, okay, quite a few questions. So I have another question from Evgen. Is it possible to have a repository of template processes and then select the right one based on the set of some predefined selection criteria?
I'm not sure if I'm actually understanding the question, but I'm trying to answer the part that I understand. So
Mm-hmm.
is it possible to have a template of processes in the repository, and that is possible, so we can have different templates for different processes inside our repository. We can also tie in these templates to be available when you start the application and you want to go in to actually create a new process, and you can use these templates with your corporate identity and colors, design, etc., and also with a specific set of symbols available inside that process template to actually start to build a new process from that template. So you don't have to do the adjustments every time. And you can put those in the repository as well.
I hope this answer your question, Ifgen. And yeah, so we don't have much time left. I'll take a last question from Adrian. Can the simulation generate CSV output files for multiple scenarios to analysis in other programs?
Good question as well. We can actually, so the values that we produce with the simulation that you've seen before, all that data, we can also do charts inside the simulation component. I didn't go into that before. But then there's also advanced users that might do some additional reporting on the simulations, and that's why we also offer to export the data, and then you can use it in whatever application you want to do your own analysis on the values that are created with the simulation component. So yes, that's possible.
Okay, great. Okay, so Adrian's asked how. Is it possible to show an example on this for the CSV output?
I think I can show that afterwards. So if I can do a one-on-one or something afterwards, because I think that will be too specific for this webinar right now.
Okay. So Adrian, if it's fine for you, I will note down and I will follow up with you so we can maybe schedule a one-on-one session with Mark. Okay, and I'm really sorry there are still quite a few questions we cannot answer now, but I will definitely follow up with you individually afterwards so we can answer all your questions. So if you still have more, we will try to answer all in the follow-up session. So Mark, do you have any other points to make, or can I now maybe start a poll for the?
No, I think it was a good overview. Once again, just to wrap this up real quick, is pretty much our intention was to give you a quick overview of the approach that we take at iGraphics with all the tools that we have and the methodology in terms of cycle of improvement, where we can actually utilize all the different components that are coming from iGraphics to create this big enhancement for processes.
Okay, great. So yeah, I would like to wrap it up and thank Mark again for the presentation and to thank you for participating in the webinar. And now I would like to start the poll and see, because today we shown a small part, a small aspect of what you can do with iGraphics, and we hope to do more webinars like this in the future. So now I'll start the poll and ask what will be your topic of interest for the next webinar. So please feel free to then select, and so we know what your interest is. Okay, perfect. So I've got a great response from you. Great. Okay, perfect. So thank you very much. We will take this poll, the response, and keep in mind for the topic for the next webinar. And so please make sure you will also register for the next one. And if you have any feedback or any question, please feel free to contact me. And yes, I will be following up with the questions that we couldn't answer at the end. Thank you very much again, and have a nice day.